in the middle of a service, remember what I mentioned about not all of us are, I'm not, have Jedi ears to be able to tell, okay, what frequency that is, right? So one tool that I showed was to fish it out with an EQ, right? And then there are situations where that's just not appropriate, right? I don't know, maybe it's President Obama talking. You don't want to be fishing out an EQ with him talking, right? You need to know what that frequency is and cut it, but you need to know what that is, right? So what you can do is this. You hear the frequency that bothers you in your ear. You hear it as he's talking. Okay, that's that frequency. So let's use the handheld again. Let's use this. So when you ring it out and you're trying to get that feedback going, you don't want it to start taking off because you're going to burn your tweeter, right? But what you can do is this. Get to it and flirt it. And hear that. Try to remember that frequency. Okay, you don't know what it is yet. Okay, remember that. And then this is a tool that I use. Tell you what, before we go into here, let me show you what an RTA is. So what you can do is with an RTA, the thing I don't like about an RTA is unless you can do averaging and it will stay up, when a feedback happens, it goes, and then it's gone. It's like, oh, where is it? You don't know where it is, right? You're trying to find out what frequency that is, but it's gone. Especially in a loud music situation, the feedback is not going to be, sometimes it's not loud. You can hear it, but it's not louder than the rest of the see, I'm talking right now, and if there's a feedback happening, so like, I'm singing right now, and all of a sudden, right there, there's a feedback happening, right? So sometimes if I'm singing really loud, you can't tell where that feedback is. It's there somewhere. Hey, yeah, I'm singing really, really loud, right? But it's right there. So there are other tools that I like. This software is called Smart. It's in Smart 7. It's in Smart 7, version 7 now. But you can do more with it. You can do like a 3-second averaging. So when something happens, and then the feedback stops, you can still have time to go, oh, what is that? You hover over that. Oh, it's 1.36K, and you deal with it on your EQ, right? So let me tell you this though. Don't be discouraged. I'm not telling you that you need to do this. Okay? Simple. Have your phone. These days, everybody got a smartphone. I always have this with me. Set of earbuds, right? I don't leave my house without this. Because when a feedback happens, yeah, hey. You hear that? Okay. Well, what I can do is, while the preaching is happening, right? I can go. This is a signal generator. I have it on my iPhone. It's called Signal Suite. That's the app name. So what you can do is this. You can hook your phone up either to your ear. You don't even hook it up to the console. You can hook it up straight to your ear with the earbud. That's the quickest thing. Or if you want to hook it up to the console, make sure it's muted, and you cue it to the headphones, right? So while somebody's talking, you It helps if you choose a sine wave, a single frequency, right? Sinusoid.
This is signal sweep valve, right?
Signal suite, SUITE, one word. And then, you remember that feedback earlier? That wasn't this, right? Sweep it up. Right there. Wasn't it? Wasn't it that one? What does it say right there? The frequency was 630.958. Right? Let's check it. Hey, 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 hey. You hear that? So, let's go. I'm in the EQ now. Okay? I just determined from my app that it's 630.958 or 630 hertz. So let's find what's the closest 630 hertz right here. This is 500 hertz. So let's use this high mid. Right? No. Let's not use a high mid. Let's use a low mid. Turn it on. Find 630 right here. That's 630. Cue it a little tighter. And while somebody's talking, go ahead and bring it down. Then you've dealt with it. Without having to boost and fish it out. Now, if you don't have that tool, then you're going to have to fish it out. But if you have that tool and you can your ear is good enough to remember, okay, somebody's like, this right here. You keep hearing that. You keep hearing this feedback right there. Okay. Well, once you found it in your app, just take it down. Then you've dealt with that. Okay. That's when that's the situation where, okay, when you cup it, then it concentrates whatever the wavelength that is this long right here, is going to resonate all up in there, right? 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. So, but yeah, you're right. When they take it off, then it's a different response. In an analog console, you can't do nothing about that, right? Yes, you can, but it's in an analog console. What you need to do is basically you need a side chain compressor. You need a compressor that only compresses that range of frequency. That way, when it reaches that threshold, it pushes it down, making it normal, as if somebody's not cupping. And then when he doesn't cup anymore, it brings it back up. When I set the mic in here, we did take that into account. I don't know if you remember. We tried it. We cup it. Once you cup it, right? We try to find out what frequency that is that rises, and then we set a dynamic compressor for that frequency. And you can do it in several ways. In this dynamic section, you can have a de-esser. A de-esser is essentially a compressor that the detector is actually a very band-limited signal of itself. So if you think it resonates at 2K, you can set a de-esser to de-ess at 2K, and then when 2K rises, it'll take that down. Only 2K. That's what that is. Okay. So the difference in the approach is this. In here, you mix with your eyes. Over there, you mix with your ears. Right? Over here, you try to see where the problem is. Over there, you use your ear to match the problem frequency with a tone. By the way, you have to set it to sinusoid, a sine wave, instead of a triangle or a sawtooth, And then you can use this tool also to see the response of your sub, to see if there's when you're EQing a system, you can sweep from low to high and see if there's a frequency that just sticks out. The frequency that sticks out, you probably need to notch it down because that's what's going to feed back first. So you can do, sometimes you can do that. You can do this. It's pretty even. That right there, you probably want to take that down a little bit. That 5.1K. Yeah, it's pretty even. Yeah, that speaker, it's nice. It's surprising actually for a speaker on a stick to be that even. How do we know it's even? Another tool is this right here. The green line, that's the magnitude response of that. As you can see, I mean, right now, both of them are on, so it's actually it's receiving. See, right now this is the live impulse response window, and it's seeing first arrival is really strong, which is the one in front of it, but it also sees a second arrival, which is that guy. Right? It's delayed. So you can use this tool to time delay speakers when you have delayed like speakers in the middle of the room. The person sitting in the back. You don't want to you want them two speakers to arrive at them at a different time. So you want the one that's closest to them. You want to delay that to wait for the front speaker to arrive there, and then it goes. Right? Yeah, I mean it's very minute. Yeah, it's very very minute amount. That's why you can't do it by ear. You need some kind of tool to be able to match that. Okay.
Does that board or more sophisticated boards have internal tone generators or something?
Tone generator, it does. It does. So this console does. So basically, that's what this channel is. This channel is, I use the internal tone generator here. Okay, if you have a Yamaha console, go to the monitor section right here. This is the oscillator. Okay, open that up. You can choose sine wave, pink noise, or burst noise. You can choose sine wave. Assign it to a channel that you're not using. Right now, I assigned it to channel 31. And then enable the output. Same thing. It is stepped though. It's very discreet and stepped. Well, the app that I have is very smooth. That's pink noise. I use pink noise when I'm EQing speakers. I use pink noise because I want equal energy per octave. So I want all the frequencies. I don't want just one frequency. When you're finding feedback, you use just one frequency to find it and match it. But when you're trying to find the response of a speaker and see which one sticks out, I like a pink noise. Which is equal energy per octave. A white noise, by the way, is equal energy per frequency. What is the difference? With the Fletcher-Munson's curve, we hear, if you do a white noise, you'll hear there's actually more frequencies per octave in the upper range than in the lower range, right? The difference between 60 hertz and 120 hertz is only 60 hertz, right? That's already doubling. That's already doubling the frequency, which is 1 octave higher, right? But the difference between 1,000 hertz and 2,000 hertz, There's 1,000 hertz difference in there. So as you get higher, you have more frequencies. If you do a white noise, equal energy per frequency, your curve is actually it's actually going to be increasing. You're going to hear more high frequencies than low frequencies, actually. So because of our ears, the way we hear things, pink noise is more suitable because it's adapted to the way human hearing is. But yeah, that app, very important. Get that in your phone, in your iPad, in your Androids, some kind of tone generator. If it's not Signal Suite, look for a signal generator or sine wave generator. Hook it up to your earbud, match the frequencies, and that way you know what frequencies you need to deal with. Okay? So when you're mixing and you hear, like in the choir, you hear a feedback, right? But you don't want to bring it down because you want that presence. Okay, find that frequency. Find that frequency using a tool like that. And then see if hopefully you have an open band in your EQ to deal with it. If you don't, let's say the frequency tells you, okay, it's 13401. So that means it's 1.3K, right? But you already have a cut you're out of bands. All the bands is already used. And you have a band. Okay, let me just illustrate that. Let's say hypothetically, let's say, assume this is already being used. The low is already being used. Okay? You have an issue at 1.3K. With this EQ, you're still having a 1.3K issue. Well, what do? Well, it's a compromise. Let me see, 1.3K. Okay, you have a cut at 1K. Right here in the high mid, right? Everybody see that? So what you can do is actually, you try it. Can you move the center frequency to be 1.3? But sometimes, this guy was handling an issue down here. If you move it to 1.3, yeah, you're handling 1.3, but the old issue comes back, right? So, what do you do in that situation? That's where the Q comes in. You widen up the Q. So that way you're affecting 1.3 and 1, right? So, at the expense of less gain overall, because now you're cutting more frequencies. So flatten this out again. Gain, up, down, gain, up, down, right? Frequency and Q. How much I want to affect. Those are the three components in an equalizer. Okay? Now, a 31-band equalizer, a graphical EQ, this is also an EQ, but it's not sweepable. It has a fixed center points. Okay? It goes from 20 to 20. 20 hertz to 20K. 20,000 hertz. And if you have a feedback, this is the old days of EQing. You've seen these units, right? And oftentimes, it looks like this. Right? Oftentimes it looks like that. Smiley face. Right? So, when there's if you insert that into your monitor SIN, then when there's a feedback, you use your app, find what that is. If it's 1.3K or whatever, 3.K, and then take it out. It's the same thing. Sometimes it's in between the two. Okay, so right now, there's 1K and 1.25K, right? So let's say you have an issue at let's pick a lower frequency. You got an issue at 140 hertz. The app tells you that. Well, you have a 125 right here. And you have a 160 right here. But 140 is in the middle of those. You can try 160, or you can try to take them out with both. But you're introducing, it's like you're cutting more than, well, really you want to cut, really, yeah. So that's why, yeah, you can use these guys. But I found that I use it less and less these days. Because once I have a lot of cuts on these guys, like, let's say you cut right there, cut there, I ended up, I lose so much gain that I'm going to have to gain up. And I'm back in square one with EQ all botched up, basically. So, practice. Set up a speaker, simple. One speaker, amplifier, EQ, and a mic. And then start cranking it up. Right there. That's how you fish that. You try. Not that one. Not that one. That one. Right? So that's how you do that with a 31 band. Hey, 1, 2. See if you have other issues. Right here. Yeah, you're still ahead. There. As soon as it happens, pull it. Check 1, 2. Now it's clean. Right? So, this afternoon after lunch, I want all y'all to play with that. Practice with that. Okay? Okay, here's the first weed out thing that you can do. Is it a high-end feedback or is it a low-end feedback? Okay? If it's, high frequency is very directional, right? Very directional. Like if I'm talking to you like this and I look away, I sound dark right away, right? High frequency is very directional. But low frequency is not. You can put a sub in the corner of the room, you'll feel it the same way at any part of the room, right? So, a mic during a service, when it feeds back, if it's high frequency, first thing you want to check is, it's probably the monitor, right? Probably the monitor. But if it's a low frequency, then it's probably that mic in the house. It's probably the house that's too loud. You have to deal with it in the house. Okay? There are exceptions, yeah. But typically in the monitor, you would have already high passed that. And you're not going to get low-end feedback. So if you do have low-end feedback, it's from the house in. Because with the speaker a few feet away, that's the perfect length for the wavelength for the low frequency to develop at the mic level. Versus, you notice, like if you're standing right in front of a sub, you don't feel it. But once you back away a few feet, you feel the impact of that sub because the wavelength fully develops at that wavelength. Because the distance. Because that's what a low frequency is. Within 1 second, you have 60 cycles. Okay. I wish we have a whiteboard, but okay. So a cycle is when a sound wave it oscillates through the air. It has a positive polarity, back to zero. So it goes from 0 degrees, 90, back to 0, 270, 360. Okay, which is back to 0. So in that oscillation, like a 60 hertz cycle, which is like the fundamental of a kick drum. With the 60 hertz means 60 cycles per second. It's a rate. It's a speed, right? Within 1 second, it oscillates 60 times, right? Well, a sibilance like Essiness, that's 8K. That's 8,000 a second. That means within 1 second, it goes, it's real fast. It oscillates up and down 8,000 times. Now, speed of sound is the same, right? There's a constant it varies just a little bit, but most of the time, speed of sound is the same, right? But because it oscillates differently and the wavelength is different, right? So within 1 second, even though it's the same speed, the high frequency, they don't have to travel far. They oscillate and they go farther than a low frequency that has to go, way up and come back down and come back up, come back down. So that's why in a PA, it's the frequency travels. The high frequency will actually travels not faster, but faster than the low frequency, because low frequency oscillates farther. Okay, so it's basically it's smeared out over time. So when where was I going with that? Yes. Okay. Right. So when the mic is that's right. Yeah. If you have a low end feedback, check. Okay, that's probably the house. Deal with it in the house. If it's a high end feedback, deal with it in the monitor. Now, if you hear that flirting frequency, it's not quite taking off, but it's there. That goes back to that thing. Use that tool to find it, and then make an educated guess. Who's feeding back here? Is it the lead singer, or is it the choir? If it's somewhere in the mid frequencies, well, you can check it real quick. If you bring down the choir, if it's gone, yeah, it's in the choir. Okay, bring it back up. Hey, there it is. You hear it again. Find it. Try to deal with it. Deal with it how? On the EQ. Now, if your choirs, the way we set up our choir, all these choirs are sent, and they're actually probably linked. There. You know what? No, they're not linked. They're not? Okay. So, when you deal with one, you probably have to copy and paste it to the other. But if you can link it, channel job, right here, channel link. What do you want to link? Right here, choirs. If you want to link them. Link parameter, EQ, yep. If you do that, that links all the choirs together. Okay? And that way, when you EQ one, all the other ones are EQ. Yeah. So, see how crucial that app is? Right? So, it's important. Another way to find feedback, it's called a spectrograph. Not an RTA. I like a spectrograph much better for that. Because a spectrograph, that gives you a running response of the frequency right now. Right? So, for example, if the louder stuff is going to be brighter, the softer stuff is going to be darker. Right? So, if there's a feedback, you can see it as a line. And the feedback stops. But the thing is, when you're mixing, you hear that feedback, it's like, oh, shoot, where is it? You can go to this tool. Yeah, you can click it and go up and chase it. Okay, there's the feedback right there. You hover over it. Okay, it's 2K. You deal with it in the EQ. Yeah. Okay, so right here. See this line right here? That's that feedback that happened. Tell you what. Let me do a natural feedback. Okay? I keep doing fake feedbacks. Check 1 2, check 1 2, check 1 2, check 1 2. Yep, 1 2. Hey, I'm talking to, let me kill this so you can make sure there's no. Hey. Yep, 1 2. You see that? That line? And if you hover over that, wait, you click on it first and then you chase it, it will stop. Okay, it's 5.5K. You deal with it in the channel. That is another tool to use for spectrograph. Sorry, a spectrograph. I'm sorry. Yeah, spectrograph. You see it right here? Oh, it's kind of hard to see. Yeah, but that's.
I don't understand the X and Y axis.
Okay, this is not. This is a three-dimensional. This is actually okay. So the x-axis is the typical frequency from low to high. Okay, so 31.5 hertz all the way to 20K. Okay, there's no y-axis. This is just time. So this is the amplitude or the loudness is determined by the color. The louder they are, the more white it is, or the brighter it is. Like right now, if I let it run, and we're quiet. Right now it's picking up something, but see that? It's the louder the sound is, the brighter the color. So right now it's kind of orange, right? But as I get louder, if I'm amplified, hey, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, you see the white starts coming, right? So if there's a feedback, check 1, 2. Okay, it's measuring the loudness of that frequency from left to right is low to high, okay? And how loud they are by how bright they are. And it measures it over time. Okay. And so if something happens, what you can do, you can stop it. You can click it somewhere in there, and you can go up, you can go chase that. Chase what happened. And you hover your mouse over it, it'll tell you right there what that frequency at that particular moment is.
So that white line that's going down.
Yeah, that's a constant line. That means there's something loud at that point over however many seconds between here to here, it's happening, right? That's consistent with the feedback, right? Something that happens over time, just one frequency, that is consistent. Where a vocal would be like smeared out all over, it's not going to be one straight line. You know. So right now, the piano is showing majority of the energy is going to be in this range, between 250 hertz to about whatever 1K, about right there. There's not much energy that's doing way up above or low. Okay. So this part is just like an EQ. It's 31.5 hertz to 20K. That's an EQ. There's no y-axis because the y is actually the z dimension. It's actually it's coming out this way because it's whatever's in color. Yeah. And then this is time. So over time, this is what happens. You can probably see it better with just the kick. Sure. that's one. These visual tools, it does help, but to me, it has nothing more effective than that signal generator, because your ears can do a better job than your eyes. You know, you hear it, you know what it is before you can even see it over here. You know, so yeah, that helps. But this is a $900 program, by the way. Yeah. So a signal generator, that thing is $10. Go get that. Right. So, yeah, that right there is, you hear it, match it with the thing, deal with it. Done. Yeah. Kill it, and that's a very good word. Give you time to deal with it. You don't just let it all hang out. Just and then it's like, hold on, y'all. No. You know. Yeah, bring it down. But register in your memory what that sound is. Find it in that tool.
But what you said, when you bring it down, you also, if I'm talking at this level, the minute I bring it down, now I'm at this level.
Here's why. Here's the thing. That's why it's key. Before the show, before the service, maximize that speaker's performance. Ring it out. If you don't do your job before that point, you'll be in trouble. Because to try to do this in the middle of an event, not good. Another trick for low end into a low end monitor. In a concert system, a drummer a kick drum, they would want a subwoofer right behind him in a concert system, right? So what I usually do, here's a trick. I will put a gate on the kick drum. So again, this is specific to some high-end board. So, if you're on an analog board, good luck. I mean, but there is a way to do it, but it's very long-winded. I mean, you got to set a compressor and you got to put a high-pass filter in front of it or whatever. But basically, set a gate. We didn't go over gate, didn't we? Yeah. So okay, here. Let's go through what a gate is. A gate is just like a gate. It opens and closes when a threshold is reached, just like a compressor. Okay? A compressor brings volume up and down when a threshold is reached. A gate will opens and closes when a threshold is reached. Case in point, if you have a kick drum, it has a long tail. This is not bad, but some of them are like boom, boom. It's like real flabby, right? There's no pillow in it. You can use a gate to shorten that tail. Basically, it only opens when an attack happens, and it shortly closes it thereafter, therefore tightening the response. You turn on the gate.
Opens and closes what? The frequency?
No, the whole signal. The mic. It mutes the mic. But it doesn't mute it completely. It mutes it by a certain amount. And that amount is the range. See, like right now, if the range is like that, that's a full range. That means it's not even gated. It's leaving it open. But as I bring that down, it pushes it down after the signal is below a certain frequency. Okay? So you notice on the kick drums now it's tighter. And then you can do and then attack and hold. Attack is how fast it opens it when the signal exceeds that. So the way the threshold works in a gate is opposite of a compressor. A compressor is it starts working when the signal when the threshold is below the signal. Signal's right here. Threshold comes down. Boom. When the threshold is equal or below the signal, it starts working. Well, a gate actually will open when the signal is above the threshold. Okay? For example, if my threshold is way up, the signal is still there, but it's not opening it. It's closed. The gate's still closed. So, as I move this threshold down, it has to reach the signal for it to start opening. And if it was all the way down, then it's open all the time. Okay? That's probably a good point where that gate needs to be. Without it, right? It's tighter. Now, combined with the feedback of the subwoofer, okay? What I usually do, for those of you doing subwoofer for a drummer, for a kick drum, because they want to feel the kick, but they don't realize the subwoofer is right there, the kick drum mic is right there. It will feedback, right? What you do is this. For every dynamics processor, whether it's compressor or a gate, it has a detector path and it has the signal path. Okay? By default, the detector path is the signal path. For example, right now it's gating when the signal is below a certain threshold, the particular signal. So the detector for this dynamics processor or for this gate is the signal itself. But you can set it so that the detector for the signal is either another signal altogether or itself with some kind of filter. So what I usually do for a kick drum in front of a sub is I will do a high-pass filter on the key in, right? And then sweep the frequency up above a subwoofer frequency. So basically what that does it's kind of hard to see it over here, but the idea is this. It splits the signal into two. One is the signal itself that's going to be affected. The other is the signal that's going to determine how the dynamics behaves. Okay? Right now, if I set it to be high-pass filter key in, that means the signal that is becoming the detector, you put a high-pass filter on it. Y'all remember what a high-pass filter is, right? Just the highs, no lows, right? So, and based on that, then the subwoofer will never open that mic. Only the first smack, right? Now, remember what I said about high frequency and low frequency? The high frequency will get there first before the low frequency, right? So, after the initial hit, it opens the mic, and then it closes it, and when the sub comes out, the mic is closed. So that helps with that's how you can really floor, the level for that subwoofer if you put a high frequency on the key in. So for those of you doing concerts, for organ low mic, do a key in and high pass filter it above the subwoofer frequency.